talking about how cheap Caleb was got me thinking about other people I knew that were cheap. And just some of the stuff they pulled. Like, we had a distant relative. Like, my grandmother's side of the family, they are all really cheap. Like, they clip coupons, they get sticker shock on stuff, and I had an uncle that would go to the store, but he would park on the hill facing away from it because he had his kids with him. Then he'd walk down and buy himself something at the store because he was too cheap to buy the kids something, so he had to go to a lot of trouble. And then the guy's son, he would routinely go on dates, actually double dates, and he'd ride with the other guy, using up that guy's gas, and then he'd get to the movie theater and he'd be like, oh, I forgot my wallet, so the other guy would have to pay. And he did it a lot, so I'm kind of amazed that they didn't catch on to that. But and the sticker shock things especially, like one time my dad got like some strawberries. He's like, yeah, it was $10 to pick your own and $20 for them to pick it for you. And I was like, ah, fine. And my great aunt was aghast at spending that kind of money on strawberries, and lectured him on how that was a waste of money. And my dad was like, well, it was a good deal to me. And I'm trying to think what else. Now, my dad had a friend. That guy was very cheap. Like, if they'd go play golf somewhere, which was very rare because he didn't want to go, he only wanted to play at the golf course they played at and paid membership. And he'd hide Sam's Club Cokes in his golf bag. He wouldn't, like, use the attendants. He'd carry his own bag up. And then another time, they invited a guy to play with them. And they played, like, they didn't play for much. Played, like, 50-cent skins, which means, even if you lost every hole, the most you could lose was $9. Well, the guy played pretty good and took some of Dad's friend's money. We're going to call him Ed. Took some of Ed's money. And Ed's like, don't invite him to play again. And my dad didn't like that. He's like, oh, so when you're over here winning and collecting money, it's okay, but when it's me, or when it's someone else, it's not okay. And he had a driver that was 20 years old, and he took it to the store that he got it at, said, look, it's got a crack in it. And like, oh, well, we quit making this driver. They just gave him a new driver. And it was ridiculous. And that guy, he worked 7 days a week. He took the money so, like, he took money so seriously. Like, he would go out and eat and get water and use, I guess it's Crystal Light to make lemonade, just to avoid having to pay for a drink. And then another time, I always found this funny, his wife got really sick with food poisoning. Like, so sick, she needed to go to the hospital. And she said, you need to take me to the hospital, Ed. And he said, but I'm getting triple time. His wife was not too pleased at that. And then there was another guy who was somehow even worse, because if there was something free, he knew about it. He would buy old golf shoes at yard sales and call the company and say the shoes wore out, and they'd send him new pairs. Anytime a glove wore out, he'd call the company and they'd send him a new one. And you're probably like, well, I mean, that's not necessarily cheap. It's just gaming the system. Yes and no. Because it's dedicating a lot of energy to getting something for free. And used to be, before online applications, he would apply for credit cards and make up a name to get free golf balls or something. And they'd send it to him. And my personal favorite, if you test drove a BMW, you got a free Scotty Cameron putter. And Scotty Cameron putters are very valuable. If you're not a golfer, like, they are like the luxury car. They're like a, I don't know, like a BMW or Mercedes of putters. Like, they are very valuable, very sought after. Like, even an old one, you're getting a solid $300 for it, easy. And he went in to test drive, and he's like, oh, look, I'm not really interested in the car. I just want the putter. And they gave him the putter. And then another time, he was out playing, and he lost a ball. And he quit playing and spent the next 15, 20 minutes trying to hunt for that golf ball. More important than whatever he was playing for was finding that golf ball. And I think he got burned by one of the credit cards, because my dad said he kind of had to stop doing it because that happened. And then another relative, we'll call him Rudy, it took him 20 years to build his house because he had to hunt down for the cheapest materials. And he worked like 6 days a week. Because the guy, Ed, what really made my dad mad was he worked overtime all the time, worked like 7 days a week. And then when he retired, he applied for disability and got it. You know what you're thinking, oh, he could really be disabled. But my dad's issue is he's probably not really disabled. He just wanted the extra money that he didn't need. Because I've known that guy for, I don't know, pretty much my whole life. And he has driven the same van. Of course, I haven't seen him in a while because him and my dad had a falling out. And I'll tell you what happened. He called my dad and invited him to play golf and told him what time. He's like, oh, okay, cool. And my dad showed up and paid and went down to play. And the guy's like, oh, yeah, we already got 4, so you can't play. Sorry. And my dad didn't like that. He didn't like that. He's like, well, what the hell? That's kind of a shitty way to do something. So there's that. I'm trying to think of who else. Because my dad is not really cheap. It's just he's inherited that sticker shock. Because he still thinks that for $500 a month you can get a house. And you might could, but it'd be like a shotgun house. And he doesn't understand car payments that are so high. But if you don't have a big down payment, your car payment's going to be $400 or $500 a month. And trying to think. That's about everything. I told a little bit about Caleb. And it's one thing to just, like, if you don't have much money and be cheap. But my grandmother, she always complained about not having money, but she was just cheap. And she didn't try to hide it. She bought the cheapest thing on the shelf. And they would always comment that she didn't have any money. But that's just how some older people are. But those are a lot of the cheapskates that I do.